financial aid as well here. And we have University Career Services here as well. So we have the 3 departments that kind of really work with you to get everything going for your job search. And once you get the job, kind of what happens after. My role specifically in all of this is I'm kind of like that first initial sort of contact whenever you start looking into jobs. So once you start, if your college work study, if you've been approved, you go through financial aid first, but if you're a non-college work study student, you kind of go into that Cougar pathway area first. And so I am your support there. So if you're looking for a job in that sense and you need help kind of locating that, or if you're like, nobody's calling me back, like what can I do? I'm kind of your person for that. And then if you need access, if you're a college work study student and you're like, I don't have access, that's me usually. So I'm kind of your support in that and looking for jobs and making sure that you're good to go and set up for success. So again, my name is Larissa, for those of you who are coming in a little bit later. Really happy to have you here. I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves from their department and what their role is in the hiring process. And then after that, we can go ahead and jump right on to your questions, and then everybody will get a chance to answer those. Department who feels best to answer is kind of who will answer those. If you cannot unmute yourself or whatever, you can always ask in the chat. I have my supervisor, Caitlin, who I'll have her introduce herself in just a second, but I have her here kind of as a backup for me, so she'll be managing that chat. So if you need to say anything in the chat, you're more than welcome to as well. But yeah, so I'm going to allow Caitlin to introduce herself, and then I'm going to allow Josh to introduce himself, and then we'll go into the panelists in a little bit. So Caitlin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Dice, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Employer Development and Relations. Really excited to have you here today. I'll turn it over to Josh.
Hi, guys. My name is Josh Trevino. I'm the Assistant Director of the Self-Help Department. I'm in the Financial Aid Department, and we cover college work study. It's nice to meet y'all.
Thank you. So again, Caitlin will be managing the chat there. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And then we're going to go ahead and get to know our panelists today. So Tola, I'm going to give it to you first. Go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Larissa. Hi, everyone. My name is Tola Olushola. I'm the Work Study Program Coordinator for U of H. Any work study related questions, they can be directed towards me. I'm here to help all students, get through the hiring process for work study, assist you all with finding jobs, letting you all know the next steps, and any type of questions related to how much money you earn and the different type of positions that are out there I can help you with. So I'll be here to help you all out, and nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Tola. Alicia, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alicia Covert. I'm kind of in a dual role right now, but I'm currently the Senior HR Business Partner, but I was formerly the Supervisor for the Human Resources Service Center. And what we do is help you guys with your onboarding. So when you need your I-9 complete, getting your documents into us, your direct deposit setup, or any questions that you have with your onboarding piece, my department is responsible for that. And I also have Annalie here, and she'll introduce herself, and she'll give you some information as well on what we do here in the Service Center. Annalie?
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. My name is Annalie Narvaez. I work with Alicia in the Human Resources Service Center. So we work very closely with y'all when it comes to the onboarding. So when you first get hired, you get your offer, awesome. And then now we're going to make sure that we get the paperwork started. So we're going to help you out with what documents specifically you'll need to submit with us, how to complete the I-9 form, which we do electronically. So we assist with any hiccups that might happen with that. And then once the I-9 has been completed, we assist with questions as to where to get it to, how to set up your direct deposit. We're kind of like an all over the place for HR. So if you got a question, then go ahead and let us know. We'll be happy to either help you or find exactly the right person to do so.
Thank you. And then I'm going to turn it over to Donna with University Career Services Counseling.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Donna Justice, and I'm one of the career counselors at University Career Services. I have sort of two roles with the process. In addition to being a career counselor, I also oversee and am the supervisor for our peer career advisor team. So I've worked with all these departments before, from work study to HR, in the hiring process and then the onboarding process as well. As a career counselor, how I support you in finding your work study position is if you have any questions about where do I start looking on Cougar Pathway for a work study job. I need a resume, I've never created it, or maybe I haven't updated in a while. That's where the career counseling team comes in. So each of the career counselors, we each work with different majors. So I work with social work, education, pre-health. We have a counselor for exploratory studies, hotel restaurant management, for College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. And we each work with these different majors so that we have more of an understanding of what you can do with internships and jobs. But on Cougar Pathway, when you're scheduling a career counseling appointment, you'll see your direct career counselor and you can let them know, hey, I'm looking for a work study job. Can you help me out? Something else I want to advise too is that if you do have to interview for your work study job and you've never done that before, we do offer practice or mock interviews. I think that's a great way before the interview to get rid of some of those last nerves and just prepare beforehand, especially for any positions that may be more competitive.
Yes, Donna, thank you. So all that is good information, and our career counselors are always there to help you really with any type of question you have, and all of these departments we're always available for you. So I want you to know that, and I'm so glad that you get to meet every component of this employment process, because sometimes it can be a little daunting, it can be a little scary sometimes. So it's good that you guys are here. I'm so excited. Some of you came a little bit late, and really, you just missed the introductions, but you're going to get to hear from everybody. So no problem there. Just make sure you mute yourself. But whenever you're ready to ask questions, which we're about to get there, you make sure you unmute yourself and ask the question. Or if you want to ask it in the chat, that's totally fine as well. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. And I if we need to kind of get things going, I can. But does anybody have any burning question right now? Of any type, and it doesn't matter what, we're in the process, anything, just any type of question that anybody has to get us started.
Larissa, there was just a quick question, just to clarify for Jeremiah. This is also going to be about on-campus jobs that are non-college work study, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Who would be, if they have questions about that, who's going to be the best person for them to ask questions to?
So for non-college work study, I'm probably going to be your best contact, but I'm also going to rely on Alicia and Nelly, because they kind of do the hiring paperwork part, and so I want to make sure I get their input too. But I'm probably going to be your best point of contact for those type of questions. And I'll make sure to put our emails. I'll have every panelist put the best contact email for us, so that you can also, if you need to ask us questions, you can do that too. But does anybody have a question? And you can unmute yourself if you. I think you can. You have someone. Someone raise their hand. Whoever raised their hand, go ahead and unmute yourself. I can't see.
I was actually going to ask about the whole process of getting hired, because I've applied to multiple jobs through Cougar Pathway, but I have yet to get even a single response. So I'm not sure what to expect from that.
Yeah. So I will tell you, sometimes our departments take a little bit longer to respond. And maybe Donna can kind of attest to this a little bit, but supervisors, they kind of get a lot of different applicants at one point, or maybe they have a time frame. So they may have they may start hiring from the 4th through the 20th. And so they won't look at anything until after the 20th. Sometimes they have it like that. Sometimes, unfortunately, to be this too, you may not meet certain requirements, but I'm going to go with that's not the case right now. But I just think that sometimes they have a time frame in which they're in. And so if you apply within that time frame, they just may not be ready yet to call on applicants to do interviews. So that might be where you're at. But if you want to, and I think, is this Chris? What's your name? Is this Christine? This might be Christine. But yeah, okay, you can go ahead and email me the job ID numbers if you want. If you want to email me that, I can always double check with that supervisor as well. But that's another way for me to be able to help a little bit in that sense. Donna, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say, especially if you're a non-college work study, those positions on campus can be really competitive because a lot of students are wanting to work on campus and get those positions. So to really make sure that you have your best chance of getting an interview, we always recommend making sure that your resume is updated and that you're customizing or tailoring your resume to the job. So you may be thinking, well, this is just a part-time job, but we can see that these can be really competitive. So you want to make sure that anything that the job's asking for in their job description, that if you've done it, that it really reflects on the resume. And if you're having questions about that, about like, how can I do that? How can I make sure that I'm really making sure my resume matches the job description? Again, you can always schedule a career counseling appointment. Two other ways you can connect to our office as well. We do have virtual drop-in hours, which will start back up when school starts on the 19th. The virtual drop-in hours, you can see the hours on our website. They're just a chat feature, so you can chat with one of our staff members, but it also has an upload feature. So you can upload your resume, they can give you feedback. In addition to that, we're also going to be hosting virtual drop-ins. So the difference with that is that you will be able to virtually talk to a counselor for a 10-minute appointment. It'll be through Teams, so it'll be very similar to this. It'll be one-on-one with the counselor, but another great way to get your resume reviewed or ask any more specific questions about how you can really make sure that you're having your application be the strongest it can for those jobs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeremiah Rodriguez, do you have your hand up? Let's see. No. Okay. Chloe.
Hello. So whoever asked the first question is kind of in the same position I'm in. I started applying for jobs like last November, and I hadn't heard anything back. And I've been applying for jobs throughout the time, up to now. And I was wondering, like, maybe I'm expecting things too soon. What kind of time frame? Like, I thought that if people hiring, maybe they would want to get back to you before the start of the semester, because then the semester starts and then, get rolling. So I don't know what to expect. I don't know, like, how long I should wait until I start, like, being, like, suspicious, if maybe I just need to not worry about that job application anymore.
Yeah. So that's great, Chloe. Great question. So I would say, and again, I'm gonna maybe ask Donna to tell me her time frame for sure, because she is the supervisor. But for me, I would probably say people put about a week to 2 weeks. That kind of is their time frame. It's different though if you're a college work study, if it's a college work study position versus a non-college work study position. Kind of like Donna said before, college work study does have a time frame put by the offices, right? So we tell them a time frame. So usually college work study positions tend to go a little bit faster because they need to do it by a certain date. So sometimes they tend to move a little bit quicker. For non-college work study, that's when they tend to move a little bit slower. So depending on which one you have applied for, which type of position, you may see a delay on that time. But I would say probably 1 to 2 weeks. If you have not heard anything by then, we probably want to kind of circle back and see what's going on. I don't know if anybody else wants to jump in. Donna, what is your time frame usually when you're, I know you're a college work study, but kind of what's your time frame?
Yeah, so usually when I am hiring for students, as soon as we put the job position up, for me at least, you'll hear something usually when I get your application within a day or two. Just because with our application, we also have an extra handout that I'd like you to fill out. So sometimes I'm emailing you to follow up with that. But for me, I usually generally like to give feedback or say plan an interview within that week or within 2 weeks. But Larissa's right, every department is different. It's just what's going on with the department at that time, or like when they're able to dedicate time to reviewing those applications. I don't know if all departments have this on their website, but I know for us at least, like I have my contact email so the students can reach out to me. So if you do find any contact information or you know someone at the department, it is okay to send an email and like politely ask, hey, I submitted my application on this day. I'm just checking on the status of my application. I would say from there, if you don't hear anything, then I would start moving on to other applications. And you never know, they may come back later on, but generally I would send one email, don't hear anything, continue on with the other applications.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin, what's your question?
Yeah, I had two questions. First is for Miss Donna. How would we go about getting one of those career advising appointments? Can we just do that through Navigate? Is that how you get one?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So it won't be through Navigate, it will be through Cougar Pathway. So when you log into Access UH, you'll see the Cougar Pathway icon. Through there, that's our online portal. So it's not only where you apply for the work study or non-work study positions, but on the right-hand corner, you'll see Request a Counseling Appointment.
Okay, good deal. And then the second question I had, this is for anyone. How do you get the most out of your Cougar Pathways experience? A lot of the jobs that I've been applying to are a lot of the ones that I feel like a lot of other people are applying for because they're the ones that you see as you log on. So how do you find those jobs that maybe, you know, not everyone is applying for, but still match what you can do and what your skill level is?
Okay, I'll talk to that. I was like, we can, either one of us can talk to that. So are you applying for, let me ask, just college work study or non-college work study?
I believe non-college work study.
Okay, so I would tell you to probably, I mean, there's a lot of different filters that you can use on Cougar Pathway, but if it was me, I would probably just literally do all. I would just not filter through anything and just kind of go down the list, because you'll be surprised about some jobs that you can actually apply to that you would never thought that you could or never saw because you might have filtered a little bit, and so then that job never appeared. So I would tell you to do not filter anything and just see all the positions. It may take a while to kind of go through all of them, but and you can kind of spread it, like maybe do 3 or 4 one day and then 3 or 4 the other day. But I will tell you to apply, just apply, because you never know. Your skill set may be something that they need, or it might be a surprise for both of you, right? Like the employer and you, that you end up applying and they're like, actually, it's a good fit. So let's do it, right? So I think doing that is probably the best way. That would be my personal recommendation for that.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if I mess up your name, I'm so sorry. But Mahmood, is that right? I probably messed that up.
You're good. You're good. Yeah. You actually got it right. Okay. So my question was kind of like what Justin had, just how I can maximize my Cougar Pathway, because unlike everybody else, I am looking for a college work study job this semester. So can anyone, I mean, this is open to anyone. Can somebody like guide me through that as to how I can like maximize the effort?
Larissa, can I just jump in and ask one quick question? There's a lot of questions about what the difference is between college work study and non-college work study. Could you speak to that before you answer that question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So college work studies, I probably should have led with that. I'm sorry, you guys. So college work study actually, let me start with non-college work study, and then I'm gonna allow the experts of college work study kind of talk about that. So non-college work study is going to be not funded technically by financial aid or by the school, right? So it's going to be funded by your specific department. So it's not award or need based. So you don't need to do a FAFSA, you don't need to be awarded a certain amount or anything like that. It's just a job on campus. It is available to all students, right? You don't have to have like an eligibility, I guess, to be able to go into that job. It's really open to all students, unless the department has like only one seniors, and so that's a little bit different, right? But it is open to all students at the university, and so that's a non-college work study job. It is on campus. It cannot be off campus. It is on campus job. It could be virtual or not at this moment in time, but it is an on-campus job, part-time job, and it does not require financial aid. college work study, on the other hand, and I'm gonna let Tola kind of jump in here, it is, you do need to complete your FAFSA. It is financial aid. You know, they give you the award based on your need. They give you how much you're gonna get for that year. Yes, Tola? Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, we're going to review the student for their eligibility and see how much they are eligible for, and we'll award them based off that amount.
Yeah, and so when you get hired, your department can only go off of that amount, right? So unless, like, you cannot run out of that amount. If you do run out, that's a different process, but that is your set amount for the year, and it's split into the 2 semesters. I hope that answers that question. And then, I'm sorry, so the other question was looking for college work study jobs, kind of how you can use Cougar Pathway to your advantage. So the good thing about our college work study students, you have college work study jobs for you. So on Cougar Pathway, it is filtered by college work study only jobs, which only college work study students who are eligible can see them. So that's the good thing about that. And so you would go in there, and I'm going to show you in a little bit how to kind of search through that, but you would go to job search and then search just college work study jobs, and so you'll apply to those. The same thing applies that we talked about earlier. Make sure that that resume kind of goes along with your job that you're applying to. You don't want to have one resume for all. Sometimes you want to, you know, kind of tailor it a little bit, but also make sure your profile is updated and all that kind of stuff. But I would tell you that to make you more noticeable in Cougar Pathway or something along those lines, probably is your resume. Take a second look at that resume, meet with a career counselor, and make sure all those things are aligned. Tell your career counselor which position you want to go for. They can see it, and then they can help you also build your resume off of that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Taylor Banks. And I see y'all's hands raised, y'all. I see y'all.
I think I already kind of had my question answered, but my question was for Tola. I was wondering, I'm kind of new to all this, so I was wondering the exact process of how to apply for work study and see if I get approved and all that.
Sure. So usually you want to indicate on the FAFSA that you're interested in work study, and usually we kind of go through that process to award students. But for those students who did not indicate on the FAFSA that you're interested in work study, you can send an email to the UH Work Study, and what we'll do is put you on the waiting list, and we'll review your eligibility for the work study. And once we figure that out, we'll reach out to you and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Maria Sotomayor had a question. I've been awarded college work study. What is the next step? Do you want to touch on that, or do you want me to?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Oh, Maria, she had a question. I've been awarded college work study. What is the next step?
Yeah, so the next step after you're awarded college work study, you want to go ahead and complete the handbook acknowledgement. After the handbook acknowledgement is completed, and we'll go ahead and put you on the list so your Cougar Pathway access can be approved. That will then allow you to submit your resume to be approved, and then you'll be able to go in and apply for positions after that. So the next step would be to have that handbook acknowledgement approved. If that's not on your list, please let us know, and we'll make sure we get that taken care of.
Yes. Does that answer your question, Maria? She'll say yes in the group probably. Okay, Precious had a question. Are there specific requirements to be eligible for work study besides being a student? If so, what are they?
Yeah, so in order to be eligible, you need to be enrolled for at least 6 credit hours for those students who are undergraduates. And then you also have to have financial need, and that's something that we determine on our end. So for the most part, you'll just need to make sure that you're enrolled for 6 credit hours and you're through the verification process that's completed. You're meeting satisfactory academic progress. And that's pretty much it, the requirements for federal work study.
And just to jump in here, when he says verification and such, that's a completed FAFSA. So you need to complete your FAFSA to get a college work study award, and then you would need to show need on your FAFSA. And the need is calculated by federal methodology based on the tax information you put in to your FAFSA. So if you show need, we'll be able to award you college work study award.
Correct.
Thank you.
Larissa, can I just ask a quick question? There was a few questions in the chat. So if a student is not currently awarded college work study, is there anything that they can do this semester? And I guess this question would be to Josh and to Tola.
Yes, so right now we're still awarding students for the spring semester. Right now, what you need to do is to email us at work study. We'll go ahead and get you added on to the wait list. And once we get down to you, we'll go ahead and review your eligibility and let you know if you'll be awarded work study or not. So I do encourage you to email us as quickly as you can. We'll go ahead and get you added to the list so we can have you reviewed for work study.
Caitlin, was there another question?
Yeah, it was just about which work study email. And so Tola and Josh, is there a preference? And can you add that in the chat for them? Thank you.
Sure, yeah.
Cool. Any other questions, Caitlin, or can I go to the next person?
You are good to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Aisha, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, I had a question about the Cougar pathway. Like, I was applying for jobs, but uploaded my resume and it says it's pending under the documents. So is there someone I contact to get that approved, or is that just going to take some time?
I can answer that question. I saw Larissa looking at me. So with the, just so you know, so if you have not uploaded a resume on Cougar Pathway before, so at our office, we review everyone's first resume just to make sure that it looks professional and it's competitive for jobs. Now, if we, for any reason, think that you could update it or make it stronger, we do deny it. If it gets denied, that is okay. Connect with the counselor, come to the virtual drop-ins or the drop-ins on Teams, and we'll help you to get it approved. Once you have one approved resume on Cougar Pathway, you can upload as many as you want afterward, and we don't have to approve those. We just do that first one to give you the foundation. Now, right now, what the timeline looks like, typically it's taking 1 to 2 days to get it reviewed. So if you still see it's pending today, our staff is probably still working on reviewing it. Now, if by, let's say, next Wednesday, if it's still pending, then contact our office, because by then it should have been reviewed. So we may need to look something more to see if there's something with the system that's going on. I will say once school starts, our timeline gets a little bit longer. So you may be looking at 3 to 4 days with that. But my best advice, again, connect with your counselor. We're able to support you in getting that resume approved, but just connect with us.
And what would it be, a phone number or email? I don't know who my counselor is.
Yeah.
So
What's your major?
It's biotechnology.
Yeah, so your direct counselor will be Cynthia Omedo. So when you go to our website under About Us, we have our staff information there. So easiest way though to connect with Cynthia is through Cougar Pathway by scheduling an appointment with her. But her email will also be on the website as well. And that goes for all students. You'll be able to see who your direct counselor is on the About Us section.
Okay. And then I had another question about work study. So I have a dependency appeal application that hasn't been approved yet, but I'm on the waiting list for work study. But I'm guessing that nothing's gonna be like I'm just gonna stay on the list until the dependency override thing's been approved, right?
That would be either Tola or Josh question. I think Tola's trying to unmute.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, you want to chime in for that one?
He's muted. I think he's talking. He's muted.
Could you repeat that question, please? I apologize. I was trying to answer a question in chat.
Oh, no, you're good. I had a dependency appeal application that's not been approved yet, and I'm also on the wait list for work study. So am I going to have to wait for the dependency appeal to be approved and completed before anything happens?
Yes, that's a good question. So the FAFSA, the College Work Study Awards are from the FAFSA application. So you have to complete a FAFSA. You have to go through the verification process. Any type of checklist items that are required have to be processed so we can get an official number to award you by. So yes, so all the verification and any type of documents will have to be completed before we can award you. Does that
And
answer
then, yeah, and then how would it work? Like, can I still apply for non-work study jobs if I don't well, that's pending or
Yes. Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Mhm. And just this is for anybody, apply to as many jobs as you can, right? Please do. There's no harm in applying to as many jobs as you would like to apply, because you never know what could happen, right? So yes, absolutely, continue to apply for other types of jobs if you want to at this time.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, yeah, that
Yeah. Okay, ABL. I think I said that right.
Yeah, you're good. That was good. I wanted to ask about I've been like putting that I need work study every single year, like for on my financial aid, and I haven't gotten it. Like my freshman year, I understood. I was like, oh, maybe I'm a freshman. Like maybe like they're like prioritizing on older students. But I want to know if there's like anything to like advance like the process on that, or like if I have to like finish my financial aid at an earlier time so I can be prioritized sooner, like on the wait list, because I know there's going to be a wait list every year. So yeah, that's my question.
So college work study isn't a limited award that we award. We have unlimited money for, so we have an unlimited amount each year. So we basically, at the beginning of each year, we award as much as possible for our fall spring students who are coming in the fall spring. And we award up to a point where we don't have any money anymore. And then we will have a spring wait list for students who want to get a job in the spring but don't have funds yet. And if we have funds come available from cancellations and such, then we award our spring only students.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, I would just say get your FAFSA in as early as possible each year, especially for other opportunities with scholarships and grants. Basically every scholarship and grant, you want to be the first come, first serve because they're limited availability. So yeah, I would recommend doing your FAFSA as soon as possible. You can start it in October the year before the subsequent fall, so you have plenty of time.
Thank you.
And if you want to try to get some specifics about what's going on with your account, feel free to call the financial aid office and we can have one of our representatives look at your account and see if there's anything specific that you were doing wrong that might have not got you a college work study award.
Okay. Thank you.
Evan. Let's see, is Evan still here? Okay. Is Cougar Pathway the only way to apply for the jobs? Is it possible to come on campus and talk to someone about it? Not at the moment. You can always, before pre-COVID, you can always come and talk to us about any of the jobs, but ultimately, yes, Cougar Pathway will be the place where you apply for it. Even for our non-college work study or college work study, everybody puts them through Cougar Pathway. Like on-campus jobs have to go through Cougar Pathway. So regardless, you would have to apply through there. You could come and talk to us about it, again, pre-COVID, but at the end of the day, we would refer you right back to Cougar Pathway to apply. So yes, all the jobs that are on campus will be on Cougar Pathway. If you, usually the fall tends to be a little bit more jobs than the spring, obviously, but so you probably see more numbers in the fall than in the spring. But yes, all the jobs will be through Cougar Pathway. What kind of non-work study jobs do you recommend for freshmen? Any job is good. So there's not a job specifically for freshmen or sophomores, juniors, seniors. I probably tell you to do something that you haven't tried before. That's kind of how I figured out that I wanted to be in higher education, because I tried something that I didn't think I would like. So I started off as in the communications department. I was just a student assistant there, helping the faculty. And I thought I would hate that job, but I ended up liking it a lot. So, and then I went to do other things, but that's kind of where I started myself whenever I was a work study student. But I think any job will work for our non-college work study, really. I've seen I think they're called student ambassadors here. So student ambassadors positions. I've seen some jobs in housing residence life that are pretty cool. I've seen some jobs in the food court. So I think there's plenty of jobs that you guys can apply for. I would just tell you to just apply. But there's not a specific freshman for this or sophomores for this, unless the department says that they want specific classification. Open to all. Samantha. She had her hand raised. No? Okay.
Hello.
There you are.
Hello. You guys kind of mostly answered most of all my questions, but I just had like one little issue that I had. So I'm a transfer student and I have work study in my other institution. And I was just wondering like, oh, how come whenever I came to U of H, I didn't have like work study? But I understand now, like, that you guys mentioned that a lot of people, you guys give it up to a lot of people. And I guess my question is like, whenever I go to the financial aid office to talk about work study, nobody's really there. Like yesterday, I went to go talk and nobody was there. And they mentioned for me to make an appointment through Via Navigate, and I'm still a transfer student, so I don't know how to make that.
In chat, I put the link to our website for scholarships and financial aid. There's virtual appointments and the phone number is on there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do a FAFSA at another institution, they award you based on the information in the FAFSA for federal and state aid, and then their levels of funding across the board for scholarships and grants. So when you go to a different school halfway through, you're going to be sending your FAFSA here, and then we're going to be awarding you based on what you have, what your eligibility is. And we check databases to see your financial aid, if it's canceled at the past institution, to make sure we're not over awarding. But for college work study, that's a first come, first serve award. So you receive that award at your previous institution for fall and spring, and then you transfer it over here. So it's a different funding level. So you would need to get into the wait list and see if we can get you awarded for spring only.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Nanaya, is that right? I'm so sorry if I said that wrong. Did you have your hand raised? Okay. Yosef.
Yeah, I can't see the chat for some reason. So does someone mind saying the email for applying for work study? So
Josh, do you want to say that one?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Who's that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My microphone wasn't working.
Oh, are you Nana?
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let's say this email. Josh is going to say the email, and we'll go to the question, okay?
Okay, thank you.
So our email is work STDY. There's no U, so it's work study without the U. I apologize about that. I know it's confusing. Work study without the U at central.uh.edu.
So so it's work STDY at U of H?
At Central.
Central.
So CENTRAL.UH.edu.
Okay, and when we're emailing, like what exactly do we put in the email? Like, do we just ask for work study, or is there any documents or like a resume do we put in?
Yeah, so when you want to apply for work study, you can usually just send an email with your name and student ID. Let us know that you want to apply for work study or be added to the wait list for the spring semester if it's this spring, and we'll go ahead and put you on the list and we'll review you when we get to your name.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Nana, you ready?
Okay, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, if you get awarded work study, can you do like a non-work study job as well?
I'm gonna go no. But I'm gonna have Tola or Josh correct me because at the end of the day, you can't have two jobs on campus. Technically, you can't have two college work study jobs on campus. I know that. And then if you end up having two non-college work study jobs on campus, they can't pass 20 hours. So regardless of what you have, it cannot pass 20 hours. So I'm gonna go with no with that. And I'm gonna, yes, they're saying yep. Okay, so it is a no.
Okay,
You
thank
cannot do
you.
that. It's a good question. Was that your only question?
Yes, because I was wondering if you didn't have enough money for work study, if you could get another job to cover it.
I don't, yeah, that would be a no just because even the hours would not be able to go over 20 regardless. So you wouldn't end up making more at the end of the day, if that makes sense. Am I saying that right, Josh? I want to make sure I'm saying that correctly. Yeah, yeah. That's a really good question. And that's just for anybody so that you guys know you cannot work more than 20 hours a week. Okay. There was something that Caitlin nicely corrected me on. For someone asked if all the jobs were on Cougar Pathway. There's some that sometimes they don't because they have their own sort of thing going. Like they'll have their own little mini career fairs, I guess you can say, things like that. But campus rec and dining are also other non-college work study jobs. Okay, so if you want to look into campus rec and dining. So that was one of those. Okay, and you guys can keep asking questions in the chat if you want to. I think Caitlin's going to go ahead and add my email if she has not on there. And if you have any of the questions that were not answered today, we can definitely answer that. I just want to give just a little bit of time to HR so that they can tell you a little bit about that side of the employment process, because sometimes we forget about that. And so when we do all this, then we get to HR and then we don't know what's going to happen. So I'm going to allow them to just kind of, if you can, run a little bit just what that process looks like for the students once they've got the job on Cougar Pathway, then what? And I don't know if Anali or Alicia, either one of you. I don't know if Alicia.
I'm sorry, I'm unmuted now. Okay, so what generally happens once you guys are offered those positions, those departments will tell you go straight to human resources and complete your I-9. I do want to start off by saying, because we are not in the office, that those I-9 processes are now going to be online. So you're going to start receiving emails from Higher Right to do your criminal background checks and complete your I-9s. So because we're not having in-person visits, everything now is done online. And trust me, it actually speeds up your process in being hired when you can just email your documents in. We can get the I-9 completed and send you your receipt. So that is one big change that you guys need to be aware of. So once you do your I-9, this is your work authorization. So any documents that you have that allow you to work here. So if you are a U.S. citizen, that could be your U.S. passport, your driver's license, and your social security card. What happens a lot with our students is that they maybe moved here from a different city or a different state, and you guys don't have access to those social security cards or to your, or sometimes you guys don't even have a driver's license. So when that happens, you can't be hired in the system until we have two forms of ID. So if you don't have your social security card, you're going to have to reach out to maybe your parent and see if they can mail that to you. If you don't have a social security card and you have an unexpired U.S. passport, you can use that. If you don't have some identification, maybe you can use your birth certificate. So we will explain what documents you guys can provide for us. But just remember that if you don't have any work authorization documents, it's going to be hard for human resources and your hiring departments to complete your onboarding process. For our international students, the same for you guys. If you have your foreign national passport, your I-20 forms, I-94, those are going to be just some of the standard documents that you're going to have to present to human resources in order to complete that hiring process. So if those are documents that you know right now you do not have access to, I would recommend that you guys start gathering your information together. So when you get those job offers and you get that email from human resources telling you to complete your I-9, none of your process is going to be held up because you have your documents. So that is the most important thing to remember, guys. Also, we're going to walk you through or give you instructions on how to set up your direct deposit. So if you don't have a bank account, these are things you need to think about. Okay, well, how or what's the best way for me to receive my paycheck? One thing or one question that we get a lot, and Annalie can vouch for this, we have a lot of students who haven't worked before. They just assume that their paycheck somehow goes to their student account. And no, that's not how your paycheck is going to be given to you. You're going to need an account set up. If you don't have an account, we can let you know what some of those options are. We have a pay card that students can get, and your check can be direct deposited to that card. And we can kind of help you walk through what those processes are. But as you're applying for your jobs, just these are things from human resources that we really want you guys to already have ready for us, or just think about, okay, how am I going to receive my paycheck? We have tried to go to a complete automatic pay system. So if you don't have a direct deposit set up and you are issued a paycheck, because we're not on campus, then they're going to have to probably send you that check through the mail. And nobody wants that. Everybody wants to be able to get access to their paycheck quickly. So just kind of think about how can you receive your pay if you have a bank or checking account set up, or if you're going to need one of those pay cards set up through another institution. How will you receive your pay? Let's see, Annalie, I'm going to ask you to chime in. Anything that you want to add that the students may need to be aware of as they're coming in and getting these job offers from the community?
Yeah, so I want to start off by just elaborating on a few different things that you've already touched on. So when we talk about the I-9 and Hire Right is our work authorization system. So the university has partnered with this system to make sure that we are processing the documents that y'all provide for us and that it gets processed in a safe and secure manner. That way we're then able to provide you the I-9 receipt. This is your golden ticket. This is what you're going to then provide to your department to let them know, I'm good to go. My work has been authorized with human resources. Please proceed with my hiring department, or I'm sorry, with my hiring process. Now, one thing I do want to clarify, a lot of people think that once you've done your I-9 or set up your direct deposit, lots of students think that at that point, cool, I'm an active employee. I do want to clarify that by providing the I-9 receipt to your department will then proceed with their systematic process of then making you an active employee. So it is a collaboration between you, human resources, and your department to get us all the way done with the hiring process. Now, another thing I want to add as far as banking information. We do want to clarify the bank accounts. It does have to be a U.S. bank account if y'all do decide to go with checking or saving account. So in case you wanted to open one up or you already have one, it would be a U.S. bank account. And then as far as like Alicia said, nobody really wants to wait for their check. So if at some point y'all forget to set up your direct deposit and ends up going through by mail check, just in case that does have to happen, please always make sure that we have the most current contact information for y'all. Because let's say that you have a previous address on there, you just moved, your check is going to the wrong place, and then now it's going to be delayed even further by the time we get to cancel it out, get you a new one. So definitely please always be on top of your University of Houston personal information. That way it's up to date in case any of those situations ever happen. All of this is going to be managed through the Access UH Pass icon, PASS. Once you become an employee, you get access to this icon, and it's going to be where you manage your your HR details. So you're going to be able to track your paychecks on there, collect your W-2s once those come around for tax season, and be able to manage that personal information of yours. So that's just a few things to definitely keep in mind of. Always stay current with your information and in close communication with your department and HR if you have any questions throughout any of that process.
Thank you both. I think we had a couple questions in the chat, so either one of you can answer those. Oh, there. Thank you, Alicia. And they can answer those questions. Great. Let's see what I think is better. There's not one that's better than the other, work study or non-college work study. Really depends on whether or not you got a worded work study. But if you did get a worded work study and then you kind of trying to choose, I would tell you to go with work study because that's money you got for free. So I would tell you always go for your work study. If you did get work study, just go for that. Take it. That's good money for you. If you didn't get it, well, then it's only non-college work study. But yeah, so with work study is more dependent on whether or not you qualified for it. But my personal advice, and again, completely up to you, you decide. But my personal advice would be if you did get work study, use your work study money. Okay, so right now I'm going to kind of shift gears a little bit, and then afterwards I'm happy to stay. If you have any other questions, I can stay for a little bit longer, but I'm going to just switch a little bit to show y'all. I'm going to have Donna talk a little bit about that resume because I do get a lot of questions about resumes, and I think also financial aid gets some questions about this. So we're going to talk a little bit about do's and don'ts of resumes really quickly, and then again, send me your questions, and I can stay just a little bit longer later if you guys want to just ask through here. But let me pull up the website here. Share screen one. Okay, can y'all see that? You're gonna see a lot of different things. Give me a head. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so this is in our website. Okay, so if you go to uh.edu/UCS, which I think we put already in the chat, then you go to students, get resume support, and this is what comes up. Okay, this is the sample resume here, and this is what it needs to look like whenever you're submitting it. And then from here, I'm gonna give it to our wonderful Donna to talk a little bit about it, and then just let me know, Donna, when you want me to go to the next one.
Yeah, so with the sample resume here, what we like to tell students is that this is a guide. So I have seen students in the past who will copy this exactly with even like sample resume on top. So your resume is your own and we want you to be your own. So this is really used as a guide to see what kind of style it can look like and what kind of sections you can have. Now, there are some standard things on a resume that would automatically get it denied on Cougar Pathway. Let Larissa make that a little bigger. So on that same web link, when you go to the right-hand side, there's this flyer here on how to get your resume approved in Cougar Pathway. It's great because it's pretty straightforward in terms of what we're looking for when we're reviewing resumes. So things to include, I always tell students on your resume, you have to have an education and experience section. Those are always mandatory. Any other sections are optional. But other sections you could include could be skills, honors and awards, and involvement in activities. Now, if you're in a place where you're saying, I've never had experience, I've never worked before, experience can also be non-paid experience. So it can be volunteer experience, maybe internship experience. If at that point you're like, I've never really done anything maybe outside of going to school, then I would connect with a counselor so we can talk to you more about ways to get involved on campus. Do list University of Houston, do list your graduation date, and do have, again, an experience section, those paid, unpaid experiences. Under the experience section, it's going to be in reverse chronological order, or most recent experience first. That's one way we see a lot of students get their resume denied if they're not putting it in reverse chronological order. And you do want to have bullet points under each of your experiences versus a paragraph. The reason why you want bullet points is because it's easier to read for that person reviewing your resume. And your bullet points are going to follow a certain format. So nowhere in your resume will you have to write I, me, my, or any pronouns. On those bullet points, you'll start off with the verb, talk about the task that you did, and if you can, add some details. So to give you an example, with our peer career advisor team, they're actually the ones that help review our resumes. So maybe one of their bullet points would be review 100 resumes per shift. And that's one of their bullet points. Just some other, I would say, don'ts for the resume. Again, not using the pronouns. Another big thing we see is adding soft skills to your skills section. So I would say soft skills or interpersonal skills would be like communication, leadership, any of those items that they're really important, but they're harder to show someone on the spot. So the skills section really should be reserved more for like certifications, languages, anything that you could easily show someone. Now that leadership communication, that can be reflected more in your bullet points. So you could show exactly that individual reviewing your resume, how you're a great communicator, how you're a great leader. And the last thing I want to touch on is the high school, because I know a lot of students have a question about this. If you are a sophomore, junior, or senior, you will not have any of your high school information on there. It should strictly be from U of H, or if you attended a 2-year community college. Now, if you are a freshman, we know that you're building up on your experience. So you won't have high school under your education. So no one should have their high school under their education. But as a freshman, it is okay to have your high school experience from your volunteer work, clubs, and all that. Once you become a sophomore, though, you'll need to take it off, because then people are going to want to see what have you done while you've been at U of H. And I know I went through that really quickly, but again, you can take a look at this list, and if you have any other questions, just connect with us and we can go more thoroughly through the list.
Thank you so much, Donna. And then again, you guys can find that on our website. It's always there and available for you, and our career counselors can definitely go through that. We have about a minute left, so I want to be respectful of our panelists. If you need to jump off, please do. And then for all of you as well, if you need to jump off, please do. I am happy to stay just a few minutes later if you had like burning questions. But we do have a survey link. If you can let us know how we did, I truly appreciate it. We want to know if this is something that was very helpful for you, or if you're like, no way, don't ever do it again. Let us know. We want to know. So please take the survey. Caitlin put it in the chat, and thank you so much for everybody. Thank you to our panelists. I'm going to allow them to say goodbye. But yeah. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Have any questions?
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Good luck with your applications.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, I'll stay for just a few more minutes if you need to ask a burning question. I know sometimes we have those. I'm one of those.
Miss Larissa, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
It's been like a month and a half since I've used Teams, and they've updated it. How do you access the chat?
Well, that's a great question, actually, because I was just telling my colleagues that I'm probably better at Zoom than I am at Teams, and it doesn't make sense to me. So I have it up at the top. That's where mine is. And it says show conversation. It's the second icon, but that's for me. I don't know if that's for everybody else.
Yeah, because
if you're on like iPad, it's at the bottom. It's a little like a text box where you write the words in, sort of logo, and you click on it.
Yeah, the only thing that I see is at the very top. I'm on PC. It's the participants. Raise your hand, the more actions, and there's nothing under there for the chat.
Really?
And then the turning off the camera, the microphone, and sharing screen.
It's so funny. So mine is in between show participants and raise hand. That's where my chat is. That is so.
I'm on the same. Yeah, that's what's happening for me as well.
Is it possible that there's a administration block on it that you have to go in and check?
I was thinking that. I was thinking that, but then I'm like, we've gotten way too many questions in the chat.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because other students have also put questions in the chat.
Yeah.
I think it might also be an update, because I think if you haven't updated it in the past like couple months, I know there was a major update, and that may be stopping it. But if you go to your settings under there, it should let you know if you need to reset it. But the only thing is you have to log off completely and then log back on.
Okay.
Also, sometimes the video pops out into a different box.
Oh.
So you might have to go back to your first open Teams.
Okay.
The chat might be in there.
Got it. I will.
It's a very good question, though. It really is,
Because I'm
because
sitting here and I'm like, I needed emails. I was like, I don't see a chat.
Oh.
Like,
did you get all the emails that you needed, though? Were you able to-
the only one that I was going to get was Miss Donna's, because I was trying to do, as we were chatting, I was trying to get one of those counseling appointments, but I couldn't figure out how to access or how to sign up for one. Is it only drop in right now, or can you make an appointment?
Yeah, what's your major?
Theatrical productions.
Yeah, so your two career counselors would either be Adalia Espinosa or Jamie Gonzalez, because they support the College of Liberal Arts and Social Science students. It may be that they're just their appointment availability is taken up. Typically, each Thursday we add our appointment availability, so I would just keep an eye out for it. If you don't see anything that matches within the next couple of days, then I would email them. And I'm about to send their link to another student too here.
All right.
And
Thank
well,
you.
I forgot you can't access the chat, but if you look on our website, we have our emails there, and then you'll be able to connect with us. But I hope you get that situated.
Yes, I'm gonna go in after I get off of here. I'm gonna go in and look and see if I can update Teams.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
all right.
Any other
Thanks, y'all.
questions? Yeah, thank you.
Hello, I have one question. I'm an international student, and I would like to find a job in the college, in the university, but my passport is expired. Is there any problem with it? Because I cannot really renovate it because there's no embassy here. So
I think that's going to be a question for Alicia, I would think, because it's probably going to go into the paperwork, HR paperwork. I think you put that question in the chat. I'll make sure to send that question over to HR, because I don't know it, and I want to make sure I get you the right information. But I think that's going to be regarding your paperwork, like whenever you're getting hired, all that new hire paperwork. And I don't know what they'll take. So let me get that question answered for you. I'll like CC you in the email when I send it so that you can see the answer. But you did put it on the chat, right? So I'll make sure that I know who you are. Can you put your email on there too, so that I know specifically who to send it to?
okay, thank you very much, Larissa.
Thank you.
I also had a quick question. Since I can't see the chat, I didn't know what anybody's emails was. I wanted to know Larissa's emails, because as you mentioned before, I was going to send in the job IDs and see if I can get an update on them.
Christine, I think you actually emailed me already, so I'm just going to email back. Yeah, because I think you must have emailed either our general email, and then Caitlin responded and like attached me on it. So I think I have you already. So whenever I email you back, just go ahead and email me those.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for staying here. We did record this. I should have said that earlier, but there's a message at the top.
Yeah.
But I was like, I should have said that, but there's a message. We will send this recording out to anybody who RSVP'd, so that way if you need to go back to it, you can. But yeah, thank you so much, you guys, for being here. And again, if you have any questions, I'll say my email so that if you have any questions, just send it to me and I can disperse as well. My email is going to be lirioscruz@uh.edu. I had to think about my name. So again, lirioscruz@uh.edu. Yeah. Okay. So if you have any questions, let me know. But happy Thursday and have a great day. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.